Good day, everyone. Today is Sunday, November 10, 2024. We'll continue on with the Platform Sutra on the chapter of the doubts. And last time we ended on November 3rd, 2024. At the end, we were saying that performing acts of generosity or making offerings are temporary and fleeting actions that anyone can do, but they are not true merit. True merit can only be attained by eliminating ignorance and seeing your true nature. So that's how we ended on November 3rd. And for some people, they misinterpret the Platform Sutra and deny the merit of giving. There's one sentence in the Platform Sutra has caused confusion for many. It says, merit must be seen within one's own nature. It cannot be obtained through giving and making offerings. As a result, some people stop giving and making offerings, living monastics without support. Well, say for example, one time there was a tycoon that happens, and the monastery needed to clean up after the mass. So a monk saw a lay person enter, and the monk was working, and then he immediately asked, "So-and-so, could you help clean up a bit?" And the laity looked at the monk, just look at the monk. And then the monk repeated the request. And the lady just looked at him again and didn't do anything. So the monk, noticing the lady's unfriendly expressions, then he didn't dare to ask again. And then at this time, this lady said coldly, "I'm here to realize my true nature, and you're asking me to clean?" And before the monk respond, the lay person continued, "If the mind is pure, the land is pure. Why bother cleaning?" So we know that this thinking is mistaken. So it's important to give rise to the Bodhi mind. And this is the most important task. In the Platform Sutra, it's also said about the 4 great vows, which teaches us to make vows to save all sentient beings. The first one saying that sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Yet, saving the sentient beings of our own true nature is even deeper than just saving external sentient beings. When we vow to save all sentient beings, we often think of the external ones. But this is not yet the highest level of practice. Saving sentient beings externally is important, but we must also save the sentient beings within our own mind. Seeing sentient beings as external entities is still a superficial understanding. When you save others, you think you are saving. This is still a sign of attachment to the self and indicates that you haven't truly realized your true nature. If you have realized your true nature, you will see all sentient beings are part of your own true nature. You won't perceive any beings outside of yourself, outside of your mind. Every sentient being is identical to yourself. Therefore, when you save others, you are actually saving yourself. Once all beings are saved, you won't feel like you have saved anyone, because there is no longer a sense of separation between you and others. You will keep saving sentient beings, but without feelings that they are sentient beings to save, and without the dualistic thinking of I am saving others. So the question here is that, do you understand this? Saving sentient beings becomes your own matter. There is no sense of separation. How do you save sentient beings? We use material things, mental resources, or Dharma. This is generosity. This is making offerings. Whatever people need, we give them unconditionally. Whatever we possess, whether it's physical strength, wealth, intellect, wisdom, or Dharma, we give as much as we can. This is how we save sentient beings. So for those of you who practice Chan, don't be like the laity that we just mentioned, who said, if the mind is pure, the land is pure, while their mind was not yet pure. To deceive yourself into thinking your world is pure when it isn't is a mistake. Yet cultivation must begin with giving and making offerings. We use this word dana. So only through giving and making offerings can you let go of the self. When you can let go, your attachment to the self will diminish. Sadly, many people who study Chan and read the Platform Sutra fall into a trap. What trap is that? They believe that giving and making offerings are useless and that they should just focus on realizing the true nature. But in the end, they neither realize the true nature nor practice giving or making offerings. So what are they doing? They are building castles in the sky, neither practicing generosity nor seeing their true nature. It is very difficult to realize your true nature if you don't practice giving or making offerings. And even if you think you have realized it, what you have seen is likely a false sense of self. People who are unwilling to give or make offers are often stingy, and their ego is very strong. Therefore, in the process of cultivation, we must encourage practitioners to arouse the Bodhi mind, to be willing to give up what is hard to give up, and to endure what is hard to endure. Only by doing this can we eliminate the inner obstacles of the self and truly realize our true nature. Otherwise, even if you think you have realized your true nature, it's just your ego pretending to have done so. So the saying that generosity and offerings are not true merit is not wrong, because the Platform Sutra states that generosity and offerings are not true merit. So is this statement incorrect? Well, you could say that the Platform Sutra is not wrong. But the saying of we should making offering is also not wrong. So can these two ideas be understood together? Can we reconcile them? The idea is that realizing one's true nature is true merit, while merely practicing generosity and making offerings are not true merit. However, looking at it from the other side, if we don't first engage in acts of generosity and make offerings, it's very difficult to realize our true nature. Realizing one's true nature is the goal, and generosity and offerings are the means to reach that goal. So when Emperor Liang encountered Bodhidharma, and Bodhidharma's statement made it clear that Emperor Liang did not understand the deeper meaning. As a result, there was no further connection between them. Now, the issue wasn't with Bodhidharma. It was because Emperor Liang's level of understanding wasn't sufficient. So he was not as insightful. And if we could grasp this, then we have suppressed Emperor Liang. So it was Emperor Liang's rules lack of understanding, not a problem with Bodhidharma. So that's the point. I remember one time when I was a monk, and we were going or walking on the street, and he saw someone selling something on the street, and like some candies, some small stuff, but the person is kind of handicapped, and he just go there and buy something from him. So in a way, this person is not begging for money. And in a way, the monk is helping this person, although he knew that this is not what he needs, but it's just an act of generosity. That's what happens. Okay. Now we come to this word. One is merit, and then the other one is called worldly blessings. They are not the same. But if generosity and offerings don't count as true merit, does that mean we shouldn't cultivate worldly blessings? Well, we should still cultivate worldly blessings, because to attain Buddhahood, one must perfect both merit and wisdom. Therefore, cultivating worldly blessings is still necessary. Worldly blessings are not the same as true merit. Now, this true merit refers to wisdom, while blessings referring to act of generosity, offerings, and benefiting sentient beings. Okay, so that is one section about the question, the doubt. Now we come to another section of this chapter, the doubt. It's referring to the question concerning reciting Buddha's name to be reborn in the Pure Land. Now, I will read the translation first. The magistrate asked further, your disciple has often seen the Sangha and laity reciting Amitabha, vowing to be reborn in the West. Will the High Master please tell me if they will obtain rebirth there, and so dispel my doubts? The Master said, Magistrate, listen well. Huineng will explain it for you. When When the world honor one was in Sravasti city, he spoke of being led to rebirth in the West. The Sutra text clearly states, it is not far from here. If we discuss its appearance, it is 108,000 leagues away. But in immediate terms, it is just beyond the 10 evils and the 8 deviations within us. It is explained as far distant for those of inferior roots and as nearby for those of superior wisdom. There are 2 kinds of people, not 2 kinds of Dharma. Enlightenment and confusion differ, and seeing can be quick or slow. The deluded persons recite the Buddha's name, seeking rebirth there, while the enlightened person purifies his own mind. Therefore, the Buddha said, as the mind is purified, the Buddha land is purified. Okay, so this is the translation in English. Actually, it's kind of clear, right? Quite clear. But anyway, we will kind of put it in another way to do it again. So magistrate here we translate as Governor Wei then said, how shall I ask? And proceeded with his question. I often see monks and lay people chanting Amitabha's name and wishing to be reborn in the Western Pure Land. Could you, Venerable, tell us if they can indeed attain rebirth in the Pure Land? We hope you can dispel our doubts. Master Huineng, the 6th patriarch, replied, listen carefully, and I will explain to you. At that time, the world honored one, referring to the Buddha, was in the city of Sravasti and taught the Amitabha Sutra, where he described Amitabha Buddha of the Western Pure Land in detail. He explained that the distance from this world to the land of the ultimate bliss, referring to Pure Land, is not that far. This is the teaching of the Amitabha Sutra. However, the Sutra also mentions that the Western Pure Land lies beyond 10 billion Buddha's lands, meaning that to reach Amitabha's Pure Land, one would traverse 10 million worlds to the West. How can one reach the Western Pure Land? It requires practicing 2 methods in this lifetime while still embodied. The first is to cultivate the 10 virtues and the Noble Eightfold Path. by practicing the 10 virtues and the Noble Eightfold Path, it becomes easy to reach the Western Pure Land. Conversely, if we do not practice the 10 virtues and instead commit the 10 evil deeds, or if we ignore the Noble Eightfold Path and engage in the 8 wrong paths, then the distance to the Western Pure Lands becomes extremely vast. Thus, for those who practice, 10 billion Buddha lands is not very far. For those who do not follow the Dharma, it is quite far. That is to say, for those who do not practice Buddhism, the Western Pure Land is located 10 billion and 8,000 worlds away, meaning it is very distant. However, if we are already cultivating the Buddha's path, the Western Pure Land is not separated from our world. Therefore, for those of lesser understanding, the Western Pure Land seems distant, while for those of higher wisdom, the Western Pure Land is not far at all. It is right here with us. Okay. So we go in more detail about the elaboration of the teaching. Now this one, 108,000. Now this 108,000 was mentioned, and it's different slightly from the so-called 10 billion Buddha's land in the Amitabha Sutra. In India, large numbers are often challenging to grasp precisely. Thus, figures like billions or trillions are used to represent a great quantity. How many are there exactly is essentially meant to convey an immense and countless numbers. For example, the term as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges River is used to describe an incalculable quantity, essentially infinite. Though 10 billions is finite, very large number. Even the sands of the Ganges can be counted theoretically, as the river exists on earth. So counting it would indeed be a daunting task. So we know that this term 108,000 and the 10 billion Buddha lands, and this term called as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges River. Then now talks about the 10 evils. Well, the 10 evils, first of all, is killing. The second is robbery. Third, sexual misconduct. Constantly seeking men or women. And the fourth, lying, such as claiming I am a bodhisattva, I'm a Buddha, I'm a great bodhisattva returning from the Western Pure Land, or I am Avalokitesvara. The fifth, double-tongued speech or slander. You tell one person that the other is bad, and then tell the other the same, creating conflict between them. Well, possible. And then the sixth, harsh words. Do you frequently curse with offensive language? Some do, perhaps more in a legislative assembly than in reciting the Heart Sutra. And the seventh, frivolous speech. So, do you make jokes? Lighthearted humor that doesn't harm anyone is fine. But if it causes others to think bad thoughts, it should be avoided. 8 is greed, and 9 is anger. And these two are particularly difficult to overcome. So, well, one time, a lay person came to ask our teacher, Master, can I go to the Western Pure Land? And our teacher said, why not? He asked, can you guarantee it? And then our teacher said, do you believe in Amitabha Buddha? And he said, yes, I do. And our teacher said, then Amitabha Buddha guarantees it. You don't need me to. But he said, I can give up everything, but not women. Can someone like me go to the Western Pure Land? And our teacher said, how many women do you want? And he said, just one is enough. And interesting enough in that is that our teacher said, then there's no problem. So what he meant, this person meant, is that he could not leave his wife and fear this attachment might hinder his rebirth in the Pure Land. So our teacher assured him there's no issue. And this lay person felt relieved, as if our teacher had guaranteed it. Well, anyway, to seek rebirth in the Pure Land, one must be ready to let go of all attachments when the time comes, including one's spouse. Otherwise, they should both go together. So again, this layperson asks, doesn't that mean taking the whole family along? And our Sifu again, our teacher again said, yes, that's the Bodhisattva path. Encourage your wife to chant Buddha's name and practice together as companions on the path. As your attachment lessens, you will be able to reach the Pure Land together. By saying that, then the follow one is that, so should you also take your spouse along? That's a question for you. Don't be selfish and leave your spouse behind. So if your spouse hasn't started practicing Buddhism, encourage them to do so. At that time, it's not that you are taking them or they are taking you. Rather, Amitabha Buddha is guiding both of you. Don't think it's just you are leading the way. It's difficult to be completely free of greed, anger, and delusion. If we were entirely free of them, Amitabha Buddha won't need to make the effort to guide us. The Pure Land would already be present in our heart or in our mind. But as long as we still hold these attachments and various afflictions, we need Amitabha's compassionate vow to help us reach the Western Pure Land. Okay, so I'll stop here for this moment.
Well,